100 ways to increase your efficiency using ChatGPT. This is the session that you definitely don't want to miss. This new technology is the future. All right, it's taking over and we need to learn it. We need to learn it ASAP, okay? If you learn it as soon as possible, you're going to get a strategic advantage, even over people with 10 years in experience or 15 years experience. When you start using this tool, you start evening the game, okay? And so we're going to get started. 100 ways to increase your efficiency using ChatGPT. We're going to start it off by watching 2 videos, 3 minutes of 2 videos, okay? So just 6 minutes of videos to kind of give you an overview of ChatGPT. So we're going to do this 6 minutes, and then I'm going to get started with 100 ways to increase your efficiency using ChatGPT.
On November 30th of 2022, the world changed forever. Artificial intelligence, or AI, became accessible to the public for free through a tool called ChatGPT.
ChatGPT,
which stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer.
A robot you can talk to.
That you can log on to and have a conversation with.
And it went from 0 to 1 million users in 5 days, which is the fastest any platform has gotten to 1 million users. It took Facebook 2 years, it took Instagram 2 years, it took Pinterest 4 months, and it took Angry Birds 35 days. I think that it has the potential to unravel the very fabric of capitalism itself and what it means for us as individuals. And a little bit later in the video, I'm going to tell you how you can capitalize on this to 10x how much you make, rather than being afraid of it in the short term and curling up in a ball and putting your head in the sand and like hoping it goes away. It's here and it's only going to get more dangerous and powerful. So there's 5 major areas that I think it's going to completely turn on its head. Number 1 is the nature of work itself. The second is how businesses operate. The third is the economy overall. The fourth is how we interrelate with one another on a romantic setting, how we choose mates, how we seduce, how we have sex, all of that stuff. And finally, the nature of life itself and how it actually extends to interplanetary life and whether or not aliens exist here on Earth. I'm not a big woo-woo tin hat guy, but I think if you actually think through the logic, there's some really alarming conclusions that you can come to. Biggest shift in our lifetime, it is the equivalent, in my opinion, of the moon landing, except the only difference is that it will actually change all of our lives rather than just being a picture to say that we won the Cold War. Different than the internet, phone systems, television, because what those did was they reshuffled the workforce. This has the ability to remove or eliminate the workforce altogether. Cryptocurrencies in general had the potential to overturn the financial institution. AI has the potential to overturn the human institution.
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. I tried for years.
If you don't know who I am or you're new to the channel, my name is Alex Ramosi. I'm the founder of Acquisition.com. We're a portfolio of companies that does over $200 million a year, and I make these videos so that you can use them and make lots and lots of money, and hopefully you become a company between $3 and $100 million, and we can invest in your business and help you scale beyond that. So in order for us to productively talk about AI, to understand what the terms we're actually talking about are. AI is a type of technology that helps machines or computers do things that normally need a human brain to do. Stuff like learning, solving problems, making decisions, and understanding what we see or hear. The thing that made the release on November 30th so wild is that ChatGPT democratized access to AI for the first time because it had an interface that we could all use, chat. They created a massive language model that allowed it to understand our prompts and queries and be able to translate that into machine speak, get the answer, and then retranslate it back to us in human speak. That is what made it so powerful, because now all of us can use it. Right now, ChatGPT spits out words, sentences, paragraphs, articles, and even entire books. It can write legal documents, it can write sales scripts, it can write.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next video, 3 minutes, and then we're gonna get started.
Welcome to this tutorial on OpenAI's ChatGPT. If you're new to ChatGPT and looking for a place to start, you're in luck because this video covers all the basics. I'll explain what it is, how to set it up, and even how to make money with it. Plus, we'll showcase some cool examples and use cases so you can see just how powerful it can be. So let's get started and see what OpenAI's new tool can do for you. So what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is an awesome chatbot that can talk with humans like a real person. It can explain things, remember what was said earlier in the conversation, elaborate on ideas, and even apologize if it makes a mistake. It's like having your own personal AI assistant right there in your chat window. Seriously cool stuff. It's part of this much bigger trend called generative AI, where computers can create all sorts of things like text, videos, code, and other media. ChatGPT was created by a company called OpenAI based in San Francisco. You might have heard of some of their other projects like Whisper, an automatic speech recognition system, and DALL-E, an AI-powered image and art generator. Right now, ChatGPT is completely free to use. However, OpenAI has said that they might have to start charging for it in the future to help cover the eye-watering costs of all the computing power it takes to run it. So if you want to try it out, it's best to do it soon before it starts costing money. To get started with ChatGPT, head over to chat.openai.com and click Sign Up to create your account. I'll also leave a direct link in the description if you want to skip the search. Unfortunately, there isn't a dedicated app for it, but you can bookmark the site on your phone and it will appear whenever you open your search engine. Using ChatGPT is super easy. Just type in a prompt in the big text box and hit enter. If you're not sure what to ask, I even have some examples on the homepage that you can click on for inspiration. For example, you could try clicking on the prompt, "Got any creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday?" and ChatGPT will come back with a list of super cool suggestions. You can keep the conversation going by entering additional prompts and hitting enter again. The secret to effectively using this tool is all about the quality of your prompts. The more specific and targeted they are, the better the AI model will perform. So try mixing things up and see what works best for you. So how exactly does ChatGPT work? Well, it's just like any other AI out there. It was trained using a huge database of information from the web. OpenAI doesn't reveal exactly what data was used for training, but we know it was probably everything from web crawlings to Wikipedia to Reddit and more. It's worth noting that ChatGPT isn't a search engine, so it can't go out and search the internet for answers to your questions. That's why if you ask it something like, "What time is it?" it won't be able to give you an accurate answer. It can only respond based on what it learned during training. That's why sometimes you might see responses that don't make a whole lot of sense, but that's just part of the fun of these kinds of AI models. Overall, I found ChatGPT to be pretty accurate and really entertaining to use. Now let's talk about some examples and use cases for ChatGPT and how you can make money with it.
All right, that's enough. So you should have an overview. If you haven't heard about it, all right, there's your overview. Now, we're all in the BI field, data analytics, data field. And so I want to specifically make this session about how can you use it today, all right? Now, AI is gonna be this huge thing. It's gonna be all over the place. It's gonna grow, it's gonna get bigger. We're just in version 1 right now. So, with all of the big stories and where it's headed, I want to talk about what we can do right now on our jobs and our training to use this to create an advantage for ourselves. All right. So with that, I have created a project in Colaberry Network. First, let me give you the link directly to the site. So if you haven't signed up, go ahead and create you an account. That's the chat OpenAI. All right. And then also we have the project. Okay, the project, which is where you will get all of the steps. What is ChatGPT going to help you do? Number one, it's going to help you code better. Okay. Now it's not going to take and write this. I mean, it could write sophisticated code, but if you're doing something very complex, you're not going to ask ChatGPT to do it. You're going to have to do it on your own, but it can help you in a lot of ways. It can help you in integration, a lot of integration services, a lot of reporting. Okay, it can help you identify patterns in data, analysis, some automation, so a bunch of different things. So what this event is for is to unlock your brain and explore this whole new world, okay? Now, the days of having to know the answers is gone, okay? The answers are already there. They're already in Google. They're already in ChatGPT. What you need to focus on now is asking the right question, okay? Asking the right question at the right time to get the right answer, okay? Now, this presentation is here just to kind of get you familiar with certain situations where you can use ChatGPT in certain type of ways, and then hopefully that will trigger your mind of thinking what is possible, okay? And so again, this is going to give you a great edge over the competition. And so a lot of you guys are here from the alumni, you've gotten your jobs. And when you were going through the training, we always told you, hey, You got to Google, you got to Google. And when you first got here, you were like, but I want to ask somebody. I want to ask somebody, right? Then once you got your job, you ended up getting better at Google, right? So you didn't get stuck as much. You learned how to ask the right questions at the right time and use the right keywords to get what you want. Okay, the same thing is here with ChatGPT, except now you can talk to it like a conversation. You can ask Google those questions and it can put together a collection of thoughts and give you an answer in a way that you can interpret in human form. Because we all know with Google, when you search something, it's tough, right? You got to look at it. You got to, map it back to your code. You got to find an example and try to, reverse engineer it for your code. So it is tough. It is like an art that you have to learn, and you get better the more you use it. So this will have all of the answers similar to Google, but you'll be able to get it in an easier way. And so as you get good in Google, you get better at your job. As you get good in ChatGPT, you are going to be phenomenal at your job. Now, before we get started into the different ways that we can maximize our efficiency, I want to tell you about a few apps. And this is a living, breathing document. So I'm going to be constantly updating it with all of the latest findings as this technology grows. But right now on step 4, you'll see recommended Chrome extensions. And so I'll only put a Chrome extension here once I've tried it, I've used it, and I've determined that it is something that's going to be very helpful. So right now, I have 3 of them on this list. And on page 4, you can click on it and it'll take you to the app, download the Chrome store. Okay, these are Chrome apps. ChatGPT for Google is a pretty cool one. So if you go to Google and you type how to build a boat. Okay, so you're going to get your results here from Google, but also on the right-hand side, you're going to get the ChatGPT response directly in Google, okay? So that could be helpful depending on what you're looking to find out. A lot of times when you're asking questions, maybe they don't relate, but it's just an app. It does it on its own. So you download it, and anytime you go to Google, it's there, whether you need it or not. So that's one app I do recommend. Another one is ChatGPT Assistant, okay? And you'll see me use this throughout the presentation because it allows you to highlight something that you have on the internet or you're using in some type of document, and then you can right click on it and it adds this prompt. Use selected text as ChatGPT prompt, okay? And then once you use that, it'll open up a ChatGPT browser for you and it'll post the question that you have highlighted and start answering it, okay? So that makes it very easy to kind of navigate and ask ChatGPT questions. So I'll put that there because I like to use it and I think that it's pretty crafty. And then third here, we have our web chat GPT. This is pretty cool because, let's stop this from generating. You see this down at the bottom right here. This bottom part right here where you see web access and all of this, this is all part of this Google Chrome app, okay? And if we click the slider right here, now our results are going to be looking on the internet combined with what ChatGPT already produces. So right now, the AI model for ChatGPT just goes to 2021, the end of 2021. Okay, anything 2022 and above, it doesn't know, not yet. Okay, so what this app does is it adds an element of looking on the internet combined with the AI results, and then kind of give you an ability to look at things that happen within 2022 and then also this year. So if I ask it something like, who won the Super Bowl in 2023? So just Chat API is not going to answer this question by itself because its cutoff is 2021. But with this web access, sometimes it doesn't register right away. So let me run it again. And you'll usually see this white screen right here. That's how you know it's doing it. So now, here it's talking about Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl 2023 after defeating Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so it's giving us information. ChatGPT by itself only goes to 2021. You add this app and web chat, ChatGPT. You just click on the button right here that I have here, and you can download it pretty easily. All right. Now, let's get to it. All right. Now, again, on page 1, you have the table of contents. Okay. So here's where you want to come, page 1, and do a search on what all is in this 100 steps. Okay. So that's going to be your best route, is to come look for what you want and then navigate to that step by clicking up above. So I'm going to talk, we have 100 in this list. You have access to 100, but today I'm going to talk about 23, okay? 23 is the amount of items that I'm going to go over, the amount of ChatGPT requests or questions that I'm going to ask and show you the results in 2 nights, okay? Someone asked, do I have ChatGPT or ChatGPT Plus? I went ahead and got the Plus. Okay, the Plus is about $20 a month. Now, if you use the regular one, you can still use it. It's just not gonna, not have as much uptime. Sometimes it goes out. Sometimes you gotta wait a little bit of time. It's not as fast. Okay, but the good thing that is they are going to keep a free version around, so you don't have to worry about paying for it if you don't want to. Okay, they're always going to have that free version, but of course with any free version you're going to get the basic functionality, and then the plus side, they're going to add more, more functionality and more uptime if you're paying for it. Okay. So a few of the things that I'm going to go over today, I'm going to show you how to implement the AI into your Power BI dashboard. We're going to talk about, how to use it for SQL, designing databases, writing stored procedures or queries. We're going to tell you how to implement a data warehousing architecture. We're going to convert a little Python. All right, in terms of professional services, if you look on my list, I have about 10 of them. I'm gonna go over 3 tonight. I'm gonna show you, when you guys see me answering all of the technical questions on the alumni group, okay, you're like, how does Ollie figure out all those questions? How does he know all those answers? I'm gonna show you how to do it, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do that tonight. Rewording email responses, right? Like maybe you're reaching out to your boss, or you need to send somebody an email and you want to make sure that you get your point conveyed. So we're going to show you how to do that as well. We're going to show you some job preparation techniques that you can use it for, like creating interview questions and coding examples and scripting interview answers. All right. We're going to tell you how to use it for your emotional intelligence and learning how to communicate with people better. We're going to use it for data analysis, analyzing data sets and finding insights in the data. We're going to use it to tell stories of the data, because once you've gathered all of the insights, you got to tell the story of the data. You got to give a presentation. I'm going to show you how to save time doing that. Pattern recognition. You're creating scripts for loading some tables. So we also have how to quickly gather information on any topic, and then how to find out the right questions to ask at the right time by asking ChatGPT. One of my favorite questions. That's going to be our last one. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We are moving on to step 5. Okay. So what I recently figured out is how to get this thing. Like, everybody's wondering, when it comes to, data analysts and business intelligence developers, you look at this and you're like, man, is this thing going to take my job or what? Right? You're like, man, what all can it do? Can it do the job better than me? All of that, right? And so what I've done is figured out how we can implement it into the dashboards to actually make them better and give the power to the users to use the chat GPT in a way that adds on to what you're building. Okay. And so I have a report. Okay. This is a new dashboard that our interns have recently built, and it's to manage all of the people in IPBC, okay? And so you have, you have IPBC instructors, you have super mentors, and then you have regular mentors. And they're all use this dashboard to effectively communicate with their mentees, all right? So let's go ahead and go to the report. I have a link right here. Here is the live Power BI dashboard as used to manage people in IPBC. All right, so we're going to navigate to the IPBC instructor tab. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to drill through. Now, just briefly, I'm not going to go into what the report is saying and all of that, but here are the IPBC instructors, and they have KPIs where they're monitoring the people that are in their groups. Okay, so it's their classes, and they're monitoring the production of the people that are in their classes. Now, if I wanted to drill through on Ahmed's people, okay, I'm going to drill through to this IPB instructor students drill through. And so all I have here is the details of the students that he's managing, like, what percentage complete are they? Are they on pace? How many weeks have they been in the program? I have their DISC scores. I have which section they're on. And then we also project when you're going to hit the market. Okay, so based on the pace you're going, when you're actually going to hit the market. So you ask yourself, how can we use AI to analyze this information? Because AI is going to look at this data and it's going to make its determinations. It's going to make its assumptions, okay? And if your columns are pretty self-explanatory, then it can make sense of a lot of it. But for things like percentage on pace, depending on what business avenue you're using that in, it can mean a whole bunch of things. What's good? What's a good number? What's a bad number? So what I've done is come in here and add in an extra column in your Power BI data set. Like, for example, this is coming from SQL Server. I added an extra column to the data set. And you see right here, it just stores rules. These are the rules these are basically like the business rules. Think of these as the business rules that are explaining to ChatGPT what things mean. Okay. First off, this is a advanced boot camp for data analytics. There's IPB instructors. They have students. These students are monitored by these KPIs, and these are what the KPIs mean. This is what good is. This is what bad is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to copy this selection, and then I'm going to put it. I'm going to turn off my web. I'm going to refresh this. And I'm going to pass in my rules. Okay, remember, this is just coming from one column in the data set. I'm passing in my rules, and now I'm going to right click on the total. Got to have a total row right here. Okay, right click on the total, copy selection. That's going to copy all of these students. You see, there's a total of 67 students in this data set. All right, and so I'm going to pass this in. Now, what I put in the instructions is basically, hey, I want you to create an email to all of the students in the class. I want you to break them up into 5 classifications using at least 3 of my metrics, okay? I want you to heavily describe the characteristics of each of the classifications and give unique advice to all groups. So basically, long story short, is we're going to take all of the students and we're going to break them up into 5 categories based on their stats. We're going to name that category, we're going to give the characteristics of that category, and we're going to put all of the students under it who fall into those different categories. Now, this is an email that you can send, that they can send, that will be unique every single time. Let's get it. All right, so here's the letter from the IPBC instructor to the IPBC students. Just by coming in here and we have our information to train ChatGPT. We pasted that in there, and then we just have our data with the details, okay? I hope this email finds you well and making great progress in the program. Our goal of IPBC is to make sure all students complete the program on time and become job ready. To help you reach this goal, we have categorized all students into 5 groups based on these 3 metrics. Days on current homework. How many days have you been on your current homework? What percentage on pace? And how many weeks you've been in the program? Okay, so the first group it created, on pace with strong performance. And now it's telling you the percentage on pace is above 125. Days on current homework is between 0 and 3, and you've been in the program less than 15 weeks. Advice, keep up the excellent work, but do not become complacent. Keep striving. So this feedback is only for these 2 students that fall into this group. All right, next group, struggling with performance, but on pace. Okay, here are the KPIs, here's the advice, here's the students. Okay, group 3, falling behind with poor performance. Group 4, needs urgent improvement. Okay, so when you get this email, you're looking, you're scrambling, you're trying to see which category are you in, okay? And taking the advice and seeing what you need to do to get better. So this is a way that the Superman or the IPPC instructor can give feedback to 70 students. That is unique, okay? It's specifically looking at their stats, okay? And it's producing this great email. And I put logic in here so it does not repeat the same information twice, okay? I'm this thing again. And you're gonna see it's gonna come and start creating a whole different email, different subject, okay? And then different groups. Look, now group 1 is fast and steady. Okay, so it's always taking the KPIs, it's taking its understanding of the KPIs, and it's breaking them into groups. Now, you could do 100 different things with this. I'm just showing you one way you can do it to get those creative juices flowing, okay? Now, you go on to your job, you're probably not gonna see this done, okay? You do something like this, you're gonna be looking like a rock star, I guarantee you, all right? So that is how you can use AI in your, that's just one example of how you can use it in your Power BI dashboard. All right, let's move on to step 10, where we are writing complex SQL to retrieve and manipulate data. All right, now, the way these questions in here are structured, or the way the majority of them is, I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, think of the example as like a stored procedure, okay? Because you can pass in different pieces of information when you run it, okay? So our first question here is, given the structure of the tables, return me back queries that satisfy my requirements, all right? So what I did, if you guys can remember, back in the day when you were in the SSRS, a part of IPBC, you had tables to build, all right? Looks like a curriculum. Here we can see we have half table, course table, section table, event table. And all I'm doing is putting the column names in parentheses, okay? I'm not even telling them what it is. I'm just showing what the table structure is. I'm not even putting I could put the data types in there, but here, I'm just putting the structure here, okay? Return me back queries that satisfy my requirements. And so I just took the homework that we gave in that section. How many are active from each group? Return the answers in one query and put the results in a table variable, okay? How many documents have been created but not attached to the curriculum? How many active events are there in each course? Sort from largest to smallest. Create a view that outlines the whole curriculum in the current order, right? So these questions are based on this data. So let's copy it. And remember, this is simply this question, but I've actually passed in values for this. So maybe this doesn't apply to you, but when you're using it for what you have, you can pass in your information and it'll give you unique results. So look at this, guys. It has created, it joined the tables for me, and then it created the statement to be able to see and put it in a variable, okay? And it's basically answering my questions. What's my question? My question is, there's a few questions. How many are active in each group? Okay, how many documents have been created but not attached? How many active events? And create a view that outlines the entire curriculum. Here's my past, here's my course, here's my sections, here's my events. How many documents have you created? Here's the query for that. How many active events are there in each course? Here's the query for that. Create a view that outlines the whole curriculum. Look at it, creating my view for me. I didn't even tell it how to link the tables together. Okay, now, the reason it's able to pick it up is, of course, I'm using mutual columns, right? So I have, path ID here, path ID here, right? Course ID here, course ID here. So obviously it's taking that and saying, okay, these map together because they have the same name. Now, if you had course underscore ID, maybe it picks it up, maybe it doesn't. That's why it's very important to verify this data coming out of here. Don't just take the word for it. You as the professional have to spend more time. Now, you're gonna save time by, you see how quick I was able to create that email. I can create that email in seconds that has a lot of specificity to it. But some of the things might be wrong in there. Okay, so it's up to me as the professional to ensure that what we're saying here matches with the data. Okay, so it's very important because this thing is not accurate enough to take your job. It's not accurate enough to do your job on the level that people expect you to do your job. Okay, so you save time on the building, but you also have to dedicate some of that time back into verifying the information. That's extremely important. All right, let's go back over here. All right, so this thing is going, created, it answered all my questions. All right, how cool is that? Answer all of my questions. Okay, so if you have a table structure, you put that there and you got some questions. Look, I've seen when they give you sample questions for an interview, like you submit an application somewhere, they say, oh, we want you to take this test. Here's this information. We're giving you this table structure. We want you to build the, man, this thing eats that thing up. You put them whole requirements in there to just spit out the answers for you. All right, so moving on. Now let's go to step 12. We are designing and implementing a relational database schema. All right, so let's start with build a diagram model of a retail database. So you guys, when you want to practice and you want some industry experience, you want to see the type of tables that are used in certain industries, then you can easily pop this question in. You can plug in anything for the industry, okay? This could very well be healthcare. It could very well be pharmaceuticals, mortgage, banking. It doesn't matter, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to ask it some follow-up questions, because not only are you going to ask one-off questions, but you're also going to have a conversation at times, okay? What it spits out at first may not be fully accurate, okay? You may have to talk to it and say, oh, take this piece out, add this piece in. So it does remember when you're using it, it does remember what you said before, okay? Now, sometimes it could be finicky. You ask it 3 or 4 questions, and then you try to reference a question that was asked 4 times ago, it'll be like, I don't know what that is. So you might have to enter the information in again. But here you can see it just created us a basic retail customer products orders table. So we're gonna continue with that. We're gonna ask it, create me a SQL script to build the tables in this database. All right. And so now it's going to create the scripts for these tables that I just had it designed so that I can easily create this in SQL Server. All right, as that's going, let's go ahead and ask our next question, which is going to be, send me an insert script that will populate each table with 5 dummy records. Okay, so now I have my create table statements. It even gives me an explanation on the foreign key constraints. Okay, the products table is giving me an understanding. I'm gonna pump this next question here. And now it's gonna start creating the insert statement for my 5 dummy records in each of the 3 tables. And it's easy for me to just copy this code by clicking on this top right corner right here, copy code, and then you can paste it directly into wherever you need to take that information. Again, you're gonna wanna validate this code, okay? You're gonna wanna look it over, make sure it's doing the right thing, make sure it's doing what you intended it to do, okay? Don't just take the word for it. You have to use your expertise to validate the information coming from AI. All right, let's go grab our next question, because not only can we populate it, but if I'm preparing for an interview or I'm trying to get my skills a little tighter, then I may want to create some practice questions with this data. Okay, so I'm going to ask it, create me 5 test questions based on these tables. Right, so this thing is wrapping up. All right, I got my 3 tables with my 5 insert scripts or insert statements apiece. Now I'm going to tell it, hey, go ahead and create me 5 test questions based on these tables. And what's cool is, let's look at which customer has an email address of bobsmith@gmail in the customers table. Look at this, Bob Smith. Okay, so the questions even match the dummy data that they asked you, that they inputted in for you, gave the script for you. So all of this, you will be able to answer by using this information that you just came up with. How cool is that? All right, let's keep it moving. We're moving on to our next cool thing we have, which is on step 20. We have designing and implementing data warehouse architecture. All right. So given the structure of the tables, input table structure, return me back queries that satisfy my requirements. So we did use that earlier, but now we're going to use it in a different way right here. We're going to take these same tables and we want to denormalize these tables in preparation to build our data warehouse. So if you have all of your tables that you're going to be using to build the data warehouse, just put your table structure, put your columns in there, okay? And then tell this thing to go ahead and create your join for you, okay? And now it's going to come here. So it's denormalized. Didn't give me, okay, there it comes. Oh, see, it's mixing in some of the information from the last question. So, no, it's not. It's just answering it a different way, right? So sometimes you get stuff in. What I really wanted to do is, let's say, create the SQL statement. Let's add that little piece in there. All right, there we go. At first you don't succeed, try again. So it joined my tables for me. It has the, and of course we saw the join in the last statement. So it can join them. Okay, it's going off and asking a bunch of questions and all of that, but we get the idea. All right, let's keep it moving. Now, just taking that information, that database that we just created, okay, we can go in there and say, turn these SQL tables into Python. All right, we want to convert this code over to Python. Same structure, same database. I'm just telling it, turn these SQL tables into a Python script. Okay, so now here you see, bam, got my connection information. I just got to pass in my database. I got to fill in the little pieces, but this is the code to create this same structure in Python. Bam. All right, let's keep it moving. Now we're going to move over into the professional services. All right. Now, one thing about me, guys, when all my friends was freestyling and everything growing up, I couldn't rap a lick. Okay, my thought process don't come up with the words fast enough. It's just not my thing. Okay, so I never wanted to be a rapper like you know most of your friends growing up. I never wanted to, but in case I did, I might have a chance with this ChatGPT. All right. So I'm going to tell it, I want you to act as a rapper. You will come up with a powerful and meaningful lyrics, beats, rhythms that can wow the audience. Your lyrics should have an intriguing meaning and message while people can relate to. Okay. When it comes to choosing your beat, make it catchy yet relevant to your words so that when combined can make an explosion of sound every time. So I just put a few things about Colaberry. Okay, just a bunch of random thoughts in there. And I say, write a rap about why companies should hire from Colaberry. All right. All right, let me get my beat together. Okay, I'm not gonna play like I can do that. All right, so listen up, y'all. I got something to say about a company that's changing the game. Colaberry is the name, and they're on the mission to provide companies with top-notch data talent, no competition. Okay, they take folks with no experience in the data field, and after a year of boot camp, they're the real deal. Data analysts and BI developers with 3 to 5 years under the belt, all thanks to Colaberry rigorous training. They never fail. They infuse AI in their business operations, condensing learning time, so no frustration. Their students are self-sufficient using ChatGPT, knowing what questions to ask at what time, no need for somebody. Many of Colaberry's graduates become data leaders, directors, VPs, and managers. They're achievers. Similar to Harvard, they use the case study method, helping students think through real-world projects, no need to fret. They work closely with senior architects on real-world tasks, so they're equipped to handle any challenge, no need to ask. Their alumni network consists of 3K data professionals throughout the US, a tight-knit community, always upskilling. They never regress. Colaberry specializes in Power BI, SQL Server, and more, data analytics and science. They're never a bore. When you hire from Colaberry, you're not hiring one person, you're hiring a network of highly skilled data professionals, no worsen. So companies listen up and take note. Colaberry is the way to go. It's not a joke. When the expertise and the track record, you'll be in good hands. Don't hesitate, hire from Colaberry. Join their expanded bands. All right, I know y'all appreciate my little rap. So, all right, that's a wrap. Listen, you can put your own information in there. You don't have to rap about Colaberry. It's all good. All right, we're going to keep it moving, though. We're moving on to our personal trainer, okay? I want you to act as a personal trainer. I will provide you the information needed about an individual looking to become fitter, stronger, healthier through physical training. And your role is to devise the best plan for the person depending on their current fitness level, goals, and lifestyle habits. You should use your knowledge of exercise science plan suitable for them. My first request is I need help designing a diet and exercise program for someone who wants to lose weight. I'm 5'10", 250 pounds, to lose 15 pounds in the next 2 months. I want a diet plan to include a keto-friendly diet. I have access to a 24-hour fitness, so include a workout plan. All right, let's run that. All right, here you see, look at my diet plan. It got my keto-friendly diet, okay? Here's an example of my sample meal plan for one day. All right, I got 2 eggs, 2 slices of bacon, avocado, handful of almonds, okay? Got my grilled chicken salad, got my snacks. Oh, look at my exercise plan. Okay, week 1 to 2. Remember I told it 2 months. So 1 to 2 weeks. We got 3 to 4 weeks. All right, look at this. Got my whole plan. All right. I can say, give me a meal plan for the first week. So now it's just gonna give me the meal plan. We already had day 1. Looks like it's a different one. Okay. We got day 1. Okay, I get some salmon for dinner. Okay. Day 2, got my breakfast smoothies. Okay. Got my Greek yogurt on day 3. Cobb salad. Get some beef jerky. All right, so you guys get the point. So here we are, a personal trainer. Okay, and then next up, let's look at feeling a little sick. I need a doctor. All right. As a doctor, I want you to act as an AI assisted doctor. I will provide you with details of a patient, and your task is to use the latest artificial intelligence tools, such as medical and imaging software and other machine learning programs, in order to diagnose the most likely cause of their symptoms. You should also incorporate traditional methods, such as physical examinations, laboratory tests, etc., into your evaluation process. All right. So I have a sore throat. I've been coughing for the past 3 days. I have a sore throat. I don't know why I said that twice. I've been taking Tylenol for the past 3 days with no changes. What is wrong with me, doctor? What is wrong with me? Okay, based on the information provided, the patient's symptoms could be caused by a variety of conditions, including viral or bacterial infections, allergies, or even acid reflux. To narrow down the possible causes, a more detailed evaluation would be necessary, okay, including physical examination and laboratory tests. However, based solely on the information provided, a possible cause of the patient's symptoms include acute laryngitis, which is the inflammation in all of these medical words that I don't know. Tylenol may help relieve some of the symptoms, but would not be expected to treat an underlying cause. Okay, cool. Am I contagious? I need to know if I need to lock myself in the room. Ah, man, I'm contagious, y'all. All right, I'm gonna have to fight this somehow. All right, let's keep it moving. We got our doctor services on. Now, I think you guys will really like this next step. On step 50, we have answering technical questions. And what I've gone through is I've gone through the alumni group specifically, and I've grabbed a few questions that you guys have had that you're asking in the alumni group, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm framing it around a student sent help request to support. Here's their problem. Come up with the response on how to handle their issue. Hi, SSRS experts. Anyone know how to get a list of months between start date and end date using SSRS expressions? For example, start date this, end date this, then I expect to receive the following. Thanks in advance. All right, let's see what we can get. Look, this thing knows exactly what you're saying, okay? And because you gave an example of what the start date and the end date is and how it should look, it can piece all of that together for you, okay? And now it's coming out and telling you, The instruction, here's how you do it. Create 2 parameters in your report. Create a tablet or a list. Okay, here's the expression. It gives you the expression to use. Okay, and then it tells you what the expression is doing. All right, it answered the entire question. Okay, let's move on to another one. SSIS question, sequence container. Okay, some stuff that I ain't never really too much mess with. Okay, but that's okay. So we just popping it into ChatGPT. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. Bam, diagnosing the issue. Okay, this is what the issue is. Sometimes I'll ask questions where the requirements may not be as clear, or we need more requirements for it to determine what the best route is. So sometimes it'll ask, hey, you know, you're looking at this or this, but I can't be for sure until you give me the set of requirements. So I just simply added the requirements onto the end of the request, and then it spit out what the answer was, right? So this thing has all of the answers. All you have to do is figure out the right questions to ask at the right time. This means all of your help, all of your questions that you have on the job can be answered. You just have to be specific. And since you're working in it, you know what you're doing. You know what you're trying to do. As long as you have those things, then you can ask the question just how you would ask it to a person that you are asking for help from. Okay? You explain exactly. The more detailed, the better. Okay? The more details you give it, the better it's going to perform. If you give it a generic question, it's going to give you a generic response. But if you're very detailed, just like you are when you use Google, if you're that specific, then you're going to get a specific answer. All right, here's an idea on how to implement in Power BI. I have an ID column which has a few duplicates. They have records in the date column, which alternates between first ID and duplicates. I need to remove, which means where first ID has date duplicate will not have the date. See, it can be even misspelled a little bit. And so, yeah, we just pop this in there. That's what I've been doing, guys. I make sure that your questions form complete thoughts. Like one time, someone in the alumni had posted a graph, and then their comments were talking about the graph. So because it's not going to interpret a picture right now, I explained what the graph was doing. Okay, here's a line graph. The x-axis has dates, and this is what's happening. I'm explaining what's happening in the screenshot. Okay, and then I add the question onto the back of it. Okay, if you can ask the question in a logical manner that makes sense, ChatGPT should understand how to interpret it. Okay, so here it's giving them the exact instructions that they need to do to handle their specific request. Okay, this is not giving me a bunch of links, try this, try this, try this. No, it's specifically telling me what I need to do to get this issue solved. All right, and so here I just have a couple more, but you guys get the picture. Okay, I've been answering all of you. If you've been following the alumni group lately, you'll see that I'm trying. If I catch it on there, okay, in the midst of my busy day, I'll go in there, boom, okay, let me see the question. Okay, yeah, that should be good. Boom, paste it in there, and I'm giving you guys the responses back. And then the feedback, people are like, oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this. Oh, yeah, I'm implementing this. Okay, thank you, Ali. Right? I'm getting all my answers from ChatGPT. I'm just trying to show y'all how I do it so y'all can have the power now. All right, let's keep it moving. We are going over into rewording email responses, which is on 51. So if I'm, you know, and here I just took an angry student's request, you know, and I posted a response that's basically, you know, here's the answer to, you know, what happened in this situation. But, you know, sometimes whatever the case may be, you might not be in the right mindset to give the right answer, okay? So I'm passing this in here. A student sent help, sent the angry email support request, pass it in the email. Here's my response. Change up the response to make it sound more apathetic. Okay, so I have to worry about the fiery tone that I probably have, and we're gonna clean it up. It's gonna rewrite, or it's gonna create me a response that gets the details in the response, but words it in a way, here it is, but words it in a way that sounds good. No, brackets aren't mandatory. You could use double quotes to pass the stuff in. You could use parentheses. But what you have to ensure is inside of what you're passing into it doesn't have another one of those. For example, if I'm using brackets to pass this in, I better not have a bracket inside of here anywhere. Okay, so if I know, I usually use double quotes a lot, I use brackets a lot. But if I already know the code has double quotes in there, I'm not going to use double quotes, okay? So you just need to make sure that it knows where the start and the end is of what you're trying to pass into it. And it doesn't matter which object you use, as long as you use the reverse of what you use to open it up. Okay, so this thing is rewriting our emails. And so we're going to move on to job preparation, okay? Everybody from time to time has to go out and hit the market again. And so what we've done is create 10 questions and answers based on the job description. The answer, okay, we're telling it, hey, give us the answer and definition example more from a first person perspective, kind of how we have you answer questions in the Colaberry program. And all I've done was just came and took a simple job description, okay? So we're gonna pass in this job description and we're gonna ask it to go and create 10 interview questions based on this specific job description, okay? And so we also told it to answer it in our specific format. So it's giving us a possible answer as well. Analyzing the job description, boom, here's the questions. Not only that, here's how you can answer it. How powerful is that? All right, what is your experience in business intelligence? Can you describe your experience with master data management? And it's answering the questions. Look at this, guys. Whatever your question is, whatever the job description is, it doesn't matter. This job description has some SQL, has some Tableau, has some Python in there. Okay, so boom, it's asking me here, it's asking me about Tableau. Here it's asking me about SQL tools and architecture, okay? Here's talk about AWS, that was in there, okay? And so when you're preparing for an interview, how easy is it just to throw your job description in there and have some sample questions that you can prepare for? And not only that, give me a good answer, okay? Give me a good answer in a format that I like to answer my questions in so I can get all of that knowledge. Okay, other job things that it can do is we have, let's see, step 61, we have a resume editor, okay? I want you to act as a resume editor. I want you to I will provide you with my current resume and you will review it for any errors or areas for improvement. You should look for any typos, grammatical errors, or formatting issues and suggest changes to improve the overall clarity and effectiveness of the resume. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It's basically looking over your resume. Anything that you have that doesn't look good, it's not in the right place, or doesn't sound right, it's gonna update. And I'm just passing in the text from the resume, okay? Bam. Okay, look, overall, your resume appears to be well written and well structured. However, there were a few areas that could make some improvements to help your resume stand out and better communicate your skills and experience. Here are some specific examples. Okay, it's telling you move your professional summary to the top, okay, as it will give the reader a quick overview of your skills and experience. It will help set the tone for the rest of your resume. Use bullet points to highlight your skills, okay? Instead of listing your technical skills in paragraph form, consider using bullet points to make them easier to read and scan. Add more detail to your professional experience. Use concrete numbers and metrics. Consider adding a projects or portfolio section. Proofread for errors. While your resume appears to be well written, be sure to carefully proofread it. Okay, should have done that. Okay, overall, your resume. I could say something like, make the suggested changes and print the resume, print the adjusted resume. So if you're telling this thing and have it coding, you can pop this thing. If you're coding, you can pop in some code. You can pop in the code and say, hey, I'm getting this error running this code. What's the problem? And then to tell you what the problem, you have this out of place. Then you can say, hey, apply your fix to my code and give me back the right code. And this thing will take what it suggested, fix it, and then return to you the updated version as this thing is doing with the resume, okay? I asked it to critique my resume, okay? It gave me my feedback, and then I told it to spit out my new resume based on that feedback, and as you can see, it put the professional summary in the first point. It highlighted the skills through bullet points here, okay? And now it's taking everything that was in the resume, just reconfiguring it, making it look good, taking it through a process. Now, keep in mind, this thing has been trained on the internet. There's people out there, this is how you create the perfect resume. This is what you need to do a good resume. It's looked at all of that stuff, and it's analyzed what is the best ways, okay? And now this thing can rewrite your resume or help you create your resume. But remember, the more detailed, the better. So you can't just say, create me a resume and not give it any input. You got to let it know, okay, this is where I went to school. This is what my experience looks like. This is what my job role is. And the more details you give it, the better. That way, if you already have a resume, just pop that thing in there. Right? And then it's going to build you something specific to you. Nobody else will run this, will have the same information. If it's coming for your resume, it has your specific experience. They're just helping you make it better. Okay. So here we have our finished resume, which looks really good, I might add. All right, let's keep it moving. Now we have the interview or the LinkedIn. All right. So we're going to go to our web chat GPT. All right. We are on 64. All right. You're preparing for an interview. Okay. You want to go and you want to make sure, you know, when you're trying to get a job, you want to get those advantages. You just got the interviewer's LinkedIn, okay? The recruiter told you, hey, this is the person you're gonna be interviewing with, okay? So you take that information. Here's the LinkedIn profile of my interviewer, and I just went and copied and pasted what are some things I should bring up to help me gain more rapport, okay? And then we just pasted in some stuff I just copied from LinkedIn from the profile, okay? And now, I made a mistake. Remember, I have the default ChatGPT, which is not, actually, because I pasted this in, there's a you can do it. If you do the web access, you can point it straight to their LinkedIn group or their LinkedIn link, and it'll go and look at that, okay? But because I copied and pasted it, here is giving me, this is the person's profile that I set up with. Look, compliment him on his work experience and accomplishments, particularly his current role as Chief Operating Officer at Outsurance. You could ask him about the challenges he's faced in the role and how he overcomes them. Mention his recent completion of executive education at Harvard Business School and ask him how he found the program and what are his key takeaways. I actually went to a Harvard class with this guy. That's where I got him from. Acknowledge his skills in negotiation, enterprise risk management, analytical skills, sales, and claims handling, and ask him how he developed these skills over the years. So this thing, look, congratulate him on his recent birthday, which is a great opportunity. You share, you show the care and build a personal connection. Comment on his recent social media activity, okay? And his thoughts on the topics he posted. For example, you could ask him about the hashtag kudos on employee motivation and engagement. That's something that he probably posted, right? And so this thing, just taking a few minutes, popping this information in and just putting some things in your head that you could bring up. And when people hear you talk about them, they lighten up. I don't care how established they are. I don't care how famous they are. If somebody hears you talking good about them, they like it. Okay. So if you throw those in there, hey, I noticed you were, this, and what do you think about this? They're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm really interested in this stuff. And here they are asking me about it. I like it. Okay. So you throw that into your interviewing skills, definitely going to give you an advantage. All right. Moving on, we have coding examples. Let's say you're nervous about your interview. You're like, man, I need to get this job. I need to start back making this money. All right. Create coding challenges to help me prepare for this interview. So I'm passing in the same job description that I had before. Okay. This Python, Tableau, SQL position. Okay. And then this time, what I'm doing is I am asking it to give me coding examples. So this thing goes and looks and says, okay, what are the requirements? We got Tableau, we got Python, we got SQL, all right? So now what this is gonna do is it's gonna create different challenges for me to basically practice my skills in preparation for this interview. Create a dashboard in Tableau that displays sales data for a fictional e-commerce company. The dashboard should have multiple sheets showing different aspects of the data, such as product category, sales by region, and sales by time period. The challenge could include requirements such as incorporating advanced Tableau features like calculated fields, parameters, or actions. It's giving you the blueprint. Okay, it's telling you exactly what things that you should put in here. Okay, here's a SQL challenge. Here's an AWS cloud challenge. Okay. Python challenge, data architecture challenge, all of the things that are asked for in this job description. All right, pretty cool. All right, scripting a interview question, okay? So you get an interview question and you want to figure out what's a good way to answer any interview question. Doesn't matter what it is, make it up, okay? Create an answer for this interview question in the format of definition, example, more. In first person, come up with examples from my previous experience and come up with specific scenarios where I used past interview question. I want my response to be between 3 and 5 minutes. Elaborate on the more part of the answer, adding similar concepts to show my depth of knowledge. So I'm basically saying whatever interview question I pass in here, I want you to give me a long response in the format of definition, example, more, so I can practice that en route. And it's also using an example from your previous experience. So it's gonna give you an example of how to use whatever it is you passed in as that interview question, all right? So bam, here's the definition of DAX, okay? Example, in my previous experience as a business analyst, I frequently use DAX to create custom metrics for my team's reports in Power BI. For example, we had a sales report that needed to show the average sales per customer, which wasn't a metric we had in our data source. Using DAX, I created a calculated column that divided total sales by the number of unique customers, and then use that column in our report visualizations. This allowed us to quickly see which customers were driving the most sales and what we needed to focus our efforts. Okay, and then it goes on more to talk about it more. Okay, if you can't come up with a quick, look at this, it's giving you the answer. Okay, all you got to do is study it, pass in some information. You don't like this response. Let's say my last job was a Power BI developer. Rewrite the answer. So now, instead of talking that I was a business analyst, as it had up here, right, in my previous job as a business analyst, now that I'm asking it, look at this, in my previous job as a Power BI developer. You see? So you can go in there and you can have the conversation with it. You don't have to take the first piece of results that it gives. You can tweak it. You can say, oh, you know what? I don't like that example. All right, use a different example, but include a pharmaceutical company or include a healthcare company called this, right? As specific as you want to make it, this thing will meet you there. All right. All right, moving on. I like this one. I call it arranging a collection of thoughts, okay? Because here we want to create a number of words, communication type. This could be a paper, this could be an email, this could be a tweet, this could be a WhatsApp message, this could be a LinkedIn message, okay? It knows how many characters you can have in each of those, okay? So if you say, oh, I have this, long message, I want to turn it into a LinkedIn message, it's going to knock it down to the number of characters that will fit in a LinkedIn message. Okay, so I want to create number of words, word communication type, about subject, using the following questions and answers. So we want to create a 300-word paper about being in the data analytics program. And remember, if you guys remember in IPPC orientation, this is the paper that you had to write. So you answer the questions, okay, but you still got to write a one-page paper. So you want to take and you just answer these questions regularly. You put it in there, you tell it, fill it in, and then we run this. And it's going to take my collection of thoughts and it's going to organize it into a paper with that many words describing being in this data analytics advanced program. And so this thing is writing, if you notice, it's writing in third person, right? So I could tell them, rewrite this in first person. And so now it's not going to be using Ali, in conclusion, Ali's motivation, work ethic, and determination. It's going to say my work ethic and determination. Look, I have worked hard to keep up my studies and I'm excited to continue learning and thriving in the field of data analytics. My dedication and work ethic are unmatched and I plan to continue working hard until I'm placed in the field. All right, you guys get the point. This thing is amazing. And these things that I've been able to figure out how to do, like I'm using this thing every day, trying to figure out, given the scenario, given the type of job that we do, how can we use this to actually make us better, okay? And so that's where these things come from. And we are moving on to our next one, which has to do with emotional intelligence, all right? And so on page 88, my key relationships. When you guys were going through the program, when you first started, you had to learn what your DISC, you took your DISC score, okay? You had to learn what your scores were for your D, your I, your S, your C. And then you start looking at the different characteristics and say, okay, I'm a high D. D's are some of the behavior patterns that I have as a high D. These are some of the behavior patterns that I have as a low I. Here's how I can do better in those areas. So you first started off by learning how you communicate. You looked at your scores and you analyze yourself and you say, my scores are this, and that's why I communicate the way that I do. But what if you're trying to figure out what somebody else's DISC score is, okay? That takes practice, okay? And so a lot of times there's a lot of details that you can depict from the conversation that will help you pick up those things, okay? And just by the way that a person is talking, okay? And so you have, let's say you have email communication from your boss, okay? Or you got an email communication from your spouse or your friend, okay? And it's long enough to kind of assess it. I just picked a small message that someone sent to me, okay? So the more you give, the more detailed the response. I didn't give it much, okay? But I said, I want to analyze the communication and guess what their DISC score is, score them from 1 to 100 in each category. And then you pop in the communication. So I just took an email that someone had sent to me, and I'm trying to analyze their DISC score, okay? And so this thing is, of course, it's going to tell you it's difficult to accurately assess it, which it is, okay? And all that's good, but let me know what you think, all right? So after it puts the disclaimer in there, okay, let's see. Try anyways. Sometimes it'll tell you, oh no, I can't do this. And then you say, hey, just try anyway. Okay. And then they'll go for it. All right. So this thing is talking about their D. Okay. It's not really giving them a score. Let me pass this in one more time. All right, so the communication provided suggests that the sender is likely a high and the C, okay? They are detail oriented, focused on accuracy, and concerned about consistency in the grading process. They are also to be thorough. They also appear to be thorough in their approach to presenting their case and providing evidence to support their argument, okay? So it goes on to talk about the S, all right? So when I actually ran this earlier, I wanted to see it said low D, no, it said mid D, it said low I, high S, high C. So it did a really good job because I went and found the person that sent this email. I went and looked at their profile. It was off on the D, but the other ones, it was pretty much good on them. And of course, if you have more communication, a longer email, something like that, they will pick up different tendencies. And then you can figure out what that person, most likely what their score is, okay? And so this should be talking, but I passed in low D, low I, low S, high C. Basically, how should I communicate with them given that information? Okay, talking to someone that is a low D, low I, low S, high C. I want to have a serious conversation. How should I approach the conversation? So now it's telling me, okay, when you want to communicate with someone like this, prepare your points. Okay, people with high C type appreciate structure, organization, and logic. To make the conversation more effective, prepare your points in advance and present them in a clear and organized manner. Be specific. High C's like that. Okay. Avoid being confrontational. Low D's and low S personalities tend to avoid conflict and prefer a peaceful setting. Okay, so you're preparing for a big conversation. Anything that you can do to get an upper end on it, hey, it's only a little post in ChatGPT. It takes you every bit of 1 minute to do it in there and get results that separate you. All right, these type of things that you're doing here, they separate you. Okay, if all your emails are crisp, all of your thought processes are clear, and everybody understands them, okay? And you're able to use this thing, you can turn yourself into a super developer or super whatever your job is. Okay, we're gonna move on to data analysis, and we are almost done. We got about 5 more left, okay? And we are moving on into analyzing small data sets, okay? Now, you're not going to populate this thing with a 1,000 record table, okay? I would say usually when you're calculating your metrics and your KPIs, you're aggregating the data anyway, right? I mean, you're not looking at KPIs on the lowest level. You're usually aggregating them some type of way. So you don't want to pass in more than like 70 records, okay? And if you do, you can pass them in multiple times. You can pass in part of it, and then the next time pass in more, and it will remember that and link it together. All right, so here we say, are there notable trends, patterns, or correlations in the data set? And I'm just passing in. Actually, this data came from a student that's working on their Power BI project. They went to the upper right-hand corner, clicked on the ellipsis and the chart object, export the data into CSV. Once it got into Excel, you simply copy and paste it in here. Okay, and here's our data set. And we're just saying, hey, is there anything I should be aware of in this data set? Okay, the data set you provided seems to contain related information related to electronic vehicles, quantity, CO2 emissions, renewable energy consumption. The electric vehicle market has been growing significantly in recent years. In 2013, quantity was 59, while in 2019, it was 353. This represents an increase of 497% over the period. That's pretty cool. It's just looking at the data set, guys. All right, if it knows what the columns are, think about this, right? Clear and concise columns, renew, consumption year over year, CO2 year over year, okay, EV quantity. So it understands what these things are. It's analyzing the data. Countries such as Norway and Germany and France and the Netherlands have a high EV market share, with Norway having the highest at 69.2%. On the other hand, countries such as Greece, Spain, and United Kingdoms have a lower EV market share. How amazing would you be if you created a report for your company and then you said, hey, not only have I created you this report, but I've analyzed it, and here's some key insights that I think you should look into. Right? How amazing is that? This thing will analyze your data set. You could say, based on the data, give me some suggestions on how the business can improve. Okay, expand the countries with a high EV market share. Based on the data, countries such as Norway, Germany, France, and Netherlands have a high EV market share. A business can explore expanding its operations to these countries to take advantage of the growing EV market. Okay, increase focus on renewable energy. Offer incentives and promotions to encourage EV adoption. Reduce carbon emissions. Okay, so this thing is giving us some really good feedback. It's taking the data set, it's mixing what it knows from the outside world, okay, and it's putting it all together for you. It's just how you ask the question. All right, let's keep it moving. Here we're gonna ask, and here's some different questions you can ask. You know, give me top insights for each data set. Okay, we passed in 4. Okay, so this thing will go and say, okay, this is what I see in this data set. This is some things I see in this data set. What are top insights in the data? Quote the numbers, tell me why they are important, and offer a solution to fix. right? So you can have it go in and really start interpreting the data as much as it knows. What are some takeaways from the data set? Give me the bad insight in the data and offer suggestions for each of them. Based on the data set, give me top insights on Germany. So you can ask for particular entities within the data set. Give me insights on Italy. Okay, give me a progress report on Spain based on the data set provided. So I want to go ahead and run this one. All right, so it's just analyzing Spain. Okay, in 2019, Spain had an EV quantity of 24, which represents a year-over-year growth of negative 0.46%. While this growth rate is negative, it's still an improvement over the year-over-year growth rate in 2018, which was a negative 2.37%. So they're actually moving in the right direction. It's still negative, but they're moving in the right direction, okay? And here it's talking about the CO2 emissions year over year, okay? All of these KPIs are included in the data set. So you're not telling this thing, look at a massive amount of data and tell me what it's saying. It's actually saying, hey, here's the key components of the data set. Here's the KPIs that I came up with. Now analyze those key KPIs and then tell me the story about what's happening with the data. Now, again, disclaimer, you gotta validate this information, okay? You may pass in some information. It may give you different information in the results. It may give you a suggestion about the false information that's in the data set, right? And so it's always up to you. Remember, you save time by not having to produce all of this information, but you have to save some time to dedicate to validating the data and the information that's coming through. Okay, storytelling. When you put that project together, everybody knows when you go through Colaberry, you got to do your big project, your personalized project. But then now you have to create a story on that project. You have to create a video on that project. How do I do that? All right, so here are some details about my story. Given this project summary and these insights and these suggestions, okay? So what we wanted to do is I need to create a story on my data. It should be professional and realistic. I want the story to be passionate and really draw the audience to the story. Have the audience walk away remembering this story for quite some time. It should include my insights and suggestions along with anything else you think will make this story better. Now, what I did was I grabbed a project in Colaberry Network. It's over violence against women and girls. Okay, very, very important topic. And so I went and copied their project summary. Okay, I went and grabbed their insights from their messaging. And then I went and passed in their suggestions. Okay, and so now I want to create a story that really moves the audience when it comes to this project. Once upon a time, there was a world when violence against women was rampant and often justified by cultural norms and gender inequality. However, there were individuals who recognized the severity of this issue and took action to combat it. One such individual was a data analyst who conducted a survey in African, Asian, and South American countries to understand the attitudes and perceived justifications given for committing acts of violence against women. The data revealed that violence justification was highest among those with no education and those employed for kind. Additionally, the data showed that the highest justification of violence was between 15 and 24 age group, followed by the age group 25 to 34 and 35 to 49. However, the data showed that in 2007, had the lowest female justification of violence against women and girls at 1.59%. And people with higher education had the lowest justification of violence at 8.9%. The data also revealed that the justification of violence was highest among men for at least one specific reason at 29%. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this, but you guys get the point by the first couple of paragraphs that this is breaking down, it's adding in the KPIs, it's adding in the suggestions, and it's telling the story, okay? It's telling the story that is memorable, okay? And look, highest justification is talking about here, highest justification. In conclusion, the data analyst recognizes the severity of the violence against women and girls, okay? Now, what's cool about this is I have a story based on my data, but I want to take it to the next level. Guess what? I want to create a PowerPoint presentation out of this. Now, ChatGPT doesn't have the ability to create an actual PowerPoint presentation, but remember, it's all about how you word the question. Arrange this into a PowerPoint presentation with a slide breakdown of, okay, we're telling it to break it down by slides, okay? So we have the slide title, the slide text, what's on the presentation, the suggested picture. Okay, suggest me a picture I can use for this slide. And then the slide script. The slide script is what you're actually going to say. You're not going to do a PowerPoint presentation where you read every word on the presentation. You're going to have a script of words that you're saying that are not on the presentation. So this is going to provide all of that for you. All right, let's see what it does. All right, slide one of the story. Introduction, title, the epidemic of violence against women. The text on the slide, a global issue that needs to be addressed. The picture suggestion, a powerful image of a woman protesting against violence. Good day, everyone. Today we will be discussing the issue of violence against women. This is a global issue that affects women of all ages, races, and socioeconomic status. It is a grave violation of human rights that causes physical, psychological, sexual, and reproductive health and social well-being damage to the community. So here we have survey results. Okay, so here's my slide 2, analyzing the data. Okay, here's my suggested picture. Here's the moving script. Okay, remember, we're trying to tug at your hearts. Violence justification by education. All right, here's bringing some stats into it. Here would be a good chance to show some of your dashboard capabilities. Violence justification by gender. Another way to show some of your reporting capabilities. Violence justification by age. So he's breaking down the data and says, who are the people that most accept violence against women? Okay, uneducated. They tend to have a high violence against women. Addressing violence against women. Okay, we have an action plan. Okay, and then our last slide, or looks like it's not done. I would say continue. Sometimes it stops. Continue from slide 8. All right, and then it starts, bam. Let me start from slide 8 where it stopped, okay? And then finish out this thing. But taking this information, okay, and it's putting together a whole presentation for me. And then one more thing to completely blow your mind is I'm going to take this information. There we go. Oh, no, that's not it. Hold on. Hold on. All right, let me sign in real quick. Now, what this thing does is it'll create like a PowerPoint presentation based on the information that you pass it in. You tell it what you want to create a presentation over, and this thing will go and create your presentation, and it'll fill in pictures and everything. It's crazy. So I'm just going to put slide 1 in there. So I'm just going to create a new presentation, and it says, okay, create a presentation about what? So I'm just going to pass in this slide 1 information, and let's see what it comes up with. Okay, breaking the silence. All right, it's generating. Look at this. Epidemic of violence against women. Let's see what picture it comes up with. Oh, look at the women all together. Look at them. sticking together. Y'all stick together then. All right. Well, I mean, it'll get more content, but you guys get the point, right? So it'll go through and create that presentation and create the pictures. Of course, you can change them out. You can edit things. You can do all of that. But that is something pretty cool that you can do. So you can not only create the story, you can create the PowerPoint presentation behind it, and then you take that thing and create the presentation. Talk about saving time. All right, one other cool thing that I saw it do is I basically had a script, okay? I needed to add information into the script, but if you notice there's patterns in this data, okay? There's a year, there's a month, okay? There's dates. These dates have different time periods between them, okay? So it's a pattern, and when you're in this type of situation at work and you're like, man, I need to add 5 more records, but I don't really want to, have to match it and make sure that you have an insert statement and all of that. So basically, create the next 5 insert statements using the pattern of the table. I tried this. I didn't know if it was gonna work. I was just trying it. I was like, let me see. I got the right question. Hold on, let's refresh this. And okay, assuming the tables have already been created, here are the next 5 insert statements using the same pattern that's in the table, right? So it added the year, it added the new date, okay? It upped the time periods, okay? It followed all of the steps that were in this data set, assumed based on that what the table structure was, okay? And then created me my next 5 records. I don't know, it went away. Got a lot of these things open. Ron, take this part out the video. All right, we are almost done, guys. And of course, I saved some of the best for last. All right, so you guys see that thing, it does pattern recognition. All right, and I went through and I wanted to figure out what's the best way to get information on any one topic. So I figured you can basically ask these series of questions, okay? And I just put in software development lifecycle, but can you explain whatever you pass in here in simple terms? What are the key features of software development lifecycle? What are the benefits and drawbacks of software development lifecycle? Can you provide some examples of software development lifecycle in action? And so if you ask these 5 questions and you pass in whatever for software development lifecycle, it's gonna write you like basically a 1-pager on whatever your topic is. And when you ask the questions that certain way, it's gonna give you pretty much all the overview information you need to know, whatever topic it is. Okay, doesn't matter what the topic is, you pass it in, you ask these questions, plug in what you want to ask in, and this thing is going to give you an overview of whatever topic that you know about. So that's pretty cool. Our last part. And I'm going to create a blog on this here pretty soon. So when you guys see it, don't be surprised. What are 10 questions I should ask? No. This is what question, the preface is, what question can I ask ChatGPT to become better at anything, any topic, any job? What question can I ask ChatGPT to make me better at any job, anything? Okay, here's the question. What are 10 questions I should ask ChatGPT to help gain the skills needed to complete this requirement? What are 10 questions I should ask ChatGPT to help gain the skills needed to complete this requirement. Let me tell you how powerful this question is, because we're going back and we're asking ChatGPT. You're trying to figure out something new, or you get requirements for something that you've never seen before. It's hard to answer it because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what questions to ask to learn what you need to know. So we're going to tell ChatGPT, hey, take these requirements. You know what this means. Tell me the questions that I need to ask so I can learn how to successfully complete this requirement. So I went in and passed in, remember Sprint 2 of your mortgage project. Okay, as a developer, I want to write ETL components that will read the mortgage application. Okay, we're bringing in Excel data, we're bringing in OLTP data, we're bringing in Zillow data. Okay, and then the assignment is read the 3 different files, okay, and explain the entire process with explanations and screenshots. Okay, so basically, we're going to be loading all of this data. So I want to say, hey, ChatGPT, given this requirement, and this could be whatever requirement. If somebody sends you an email with a list of things that they want done, you pass it in here. Somebody has a requirements document, you pass it in here. Let's see what it does. So it knows what you're trying to do now, okay? It knows that you need to know about Excel. You need to know how to read Excel data from an FTP location. It knows you need to access SQL Server, okay? Look at this. Can you explain the basics of ETL and how it's used in data integration? How can I use the Excel source and script component in SSIS to read data from Excel file and validate it? How do I set up an FTP connection manager in SSIS to read data from a remote location? How can I use OLEDB and SQL Server export to read data from an OLTP database and transfer it into a staging table? If you've never seen these requirements before, you would never know to ask these questions. Okay, can you explain the difference between full and incremental backup data loads and when to use each approach? Okay, so this thing is, ChatGPT is refreshing my screen without my permission, but I'm gonna run it again, okay? And so it's giving me the question, it's understanding what needs to be done to complete this task, and here are the questions that you need to know to understand how to complete this task, all right? And then the coolest part about it is once it comes up with the questions that you didn't even know that you needed to know, then you say, oh, my bad. I said answer 12. I was trying to say answer number 1. All right, bam. Now it's gonna give me the answer. So not only do I ask the questions that I didn't need to know, that I didn't know that I needed to know, I can also ask them for the answer. And I can say, hey, can you elaborate on the answer? Can you give me an example of how I can do this? Okay, question here number 2, the sources from which the input will be obtained for the given requirement. Oh, hold on, let me just copy it here. All right, what's a good question? Okay. All right, what are the tools and technologies that will be used for reading OLTP data from SQL Server or Access database? So I'm just simply going to ask the question. Bam. Giving me the answer to the question that I didn't know that I needed to know. But once I ask these questions, given any requirements, I now have a path, okay? I now have a path, and I can ask them, can you show me an example? Here's an example of how OLTP data can be taken from a SQL Server database using C# code, okay? It's giving me the script. And this is just a backup to a backup question. Okay, here was the questions. Based on these requirements, it came up with these questions. Based on these questions, I asked for these answers. Based on these answers, I asked for it to show me an example. Bam, it created me an entire C# script. Okay, so there is no way that you can't figure out a task now. Okay, if you ask this question right here for any set of requirements, I'm going to do one more for you guys. And I'm going to say, I'm going to do something that most of us can relate to, or at some point could relate to. Instead of passing in this requirements, all right, let me just refresh this. Instead of passing in those requirements, I'm simply going to say, I want to mow a lawn. Okay, what are 10 questions I should ask ChatGPT to help gain the skills needed to complete the requirement? Pass in any requirement you want, mow a lawn. To gain the skills needed to mow a lawn, here are 10 questions you can ask ChatGPT. What are the steps involved in mowing a lawn? What type of lawnmower is best for the size and shape of my lawn? How do I properly maintain my lawnmower? What is the ideal length to cut my grass? What are some common mistakes to avoid when mowing a lawn? How do I trim the edges of my lawn after? I didn't even know I needed to trim my edges, okay? Should I bag or mulch the grass clippings? How often should I mow my lawn? How do I safely handle and store the gasoline? Okay, it's doing something else. But you guys get the point, okay? You pass anything in there, it's gonna tell you the requirement. I think this is the most powerful question that I went through tonight, okay? Given any requirements that you have, pass it into this question on page 96, okay, which is, what are 10 questions I should ask ChatGPT to help gain the skills needed to complete this requirement? Okay, ChatGPT is going to go in there, ask you the questions that you didn't even know that you needed to ask, and then it's going to answer questions for you. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I enjoyed building it. I'm constantly practicing with ChatGPT. Everything I figure out, you know, my knowledge is y'all's knowledge, okay? My knowledge is y'all's knowledge. Y'all already know I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna figure out a way to get it to our folks, to our people. Does it do taxes? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised, okay? You give it your last tax return and say, I need my new one. I don't know. That's a lot to pass in there. But you guys get the point. We're gonna take this video, okay? If I write an IT article for publisher, will it edit it for me? Absolutely. I would put your thoughts in there, and then I would arrange your thoughts and then tell it, give me good topics to write a blog over. And it would take your data and come up with compelling topics to write a blog for it, right? So, I mean, the sky's the limit, guys. This thing is only limited by the questions that you come up with. And so if you want to use this to maximize your efficiency on your job right now, here are 100 different ways that you can do that. Okay, start using it every single day. This will give you a clear competitive advantage. And with the things that I showed you today, if you go show any of that at your job, or you like the Power BI, the one we started off with, you're gonna be a rock star. Okay, so I'm trying to tell you, those of y'all out there, I know y'all got a couple of jobs, some of y'all working 2 jobs, doing whatever, and being efficient is mandatory, right? Because you got 2, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be able to do it better if you use it, okay? And this is all gonna be here, Colaberry Network. All you gotta do is log into app.colaberry. You got all 100. I recommend you look through them, constantly updating, constantly coming up with new things, okay? You see me answering all of your questions on the alumni chat, okay? I'm just popping them in just how I showed you. All right, you just got to figure out how to use it, get your competitive advantage so you can get your money up. so you can get your money up. All right, guys. You have any questions or whatever, feel free to email me, Ali@colaberry.com. Again, for those that missed, like this is a must-have. Like everybody in the alumni has to be using this. I'm telling you guys, we're not going to get another technology in our lifetime that's going to be more powerful than this. Okay, the sooner you start using it, the better. Okay, if you have questions, Ali@colaberry.com, and we'll just keep on adding on to this. But go use it today. Download it today. Get started on it today and watch my video again. Okay, so y'all can continue being rock stars at your job. All right, guys, that's my time. I'm out of here. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you soon.